What's up, YouTube? All right, so I don't want to take up too much of y'all time, but I wanted to kind of ask y'all a question. I wanted to know how many of y'all actually wake up, whether it's in the middle of the night or early morning, to use the restroom, and then you go back to sleep or whatever. But you have a dream, or your other reality. We'll call it a dream because that's what people say. And you say, "Oh, when I wake up, I'll make a video of it. When I wake up, I'm gonna make a video." When you wake up, you don't remember that video. You don't remember. You don't remember that dream of the reality. You don't remember that. It's bad. It's bad when you can't. It's not allowing you to remember. Okay, I'm just gonna say it that way. It's not allowing you to remember. So I had that same thing happen to me. Now, and it's crazy that I'm making a video on this because this cup is about him. Okay, it's my orange juice. All right, so I had this dream that it was kind of like it was like a park area, or like a trail or something like that. I mean, it had like benches and stuff like that, and every so often, like they had like um, little slide things and different things like that. But it was an actual it was a really long trail. So it must have just been like this whole community park or whatever it was. But they had stuff for like the kids. So I'm sitting there walking down, and like I seen someone sitting on a bench. Hold on, guys. I seen someone sitting on a bench. And I kind of looked and I'm like, why does he look so familiar? And all I could see was, which, if you know my father, he was always wanting to read the paper. And this man had a paper in his hand. And he was down like this, but when I was walking, it was like I couldn't fully see like his face. But I'm like, he just kind of looks familiar. Like his shoes, like the clothes that he wore, like it was just his whole self reminded me of him. And as I got closer, like he must have heard somebody walking, and he looked up and he was like, "Oh, hey," and he said my name. And then he put his head back down, and I'm like, and I said, "Dad?" And he looked up and he was like, "Yeah." He was like, "I'm reading the paper." And I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "How is this possible?" I'm like, "How am I seeing you right now?" And he said, "I'm always here." And I'm like, yeah, I know, like in my thoughts, in my heart, you're always here, yeah. But so I said to him, I said, can I sit down with you? Like, there's so much that I want to talk about with you, and I said so much you missed out on. And I'm like, in my head, like I'm sitting there going, like, how is this possible? Like, how am I speaking to him and he's not even here? So I sat down and I started talking about, like, just life and the struggles and the journey that I've been through, and just like everything. He said to me, he said, listen, he said my name, I'm not going to give my government out. He said, listen, um, what did I always tell you? That you're always going to have, hold on, it's like a bug on my, you're always going to have obstacles being put in your way. You're always going to have um, difficult times. You're always going to have, whatever. He said, you know, he said, I raised you. He said, you know what I taught you. He said, the biggest thing is you need to save. You need to save money. You need to, and back then, like, my dad and him used to say, you save for a rainy day. And I never really, like, I was just like, okay, whatever. Like, I just want to spend money. Like, that's just how I was. So I was like, but Dad, you don't understand. Like, with what I'm making, it's not easy. He said, I know it's not. He said, it's never gonna be. He said, but, he said, you're my daughter. He said, I raised you. He said, we don't quit. Like, we know, basically, we know how to make this work. And I was telling him about, my car and, all the situations that I've been through and, like me dealing with a lot of other issues that I've been dealing with and stuff like that. And, he said, like, he said, I don't want to hear that. He said, I don't like all the negativity. That's what he was saying. He said, I don't like all the negativity. He said, I want you to make sure you focus on you and make sure that you're doing what you need to do to keep going. And I told him, I said, listen, I said, I have a very strong support system. I said, I said, and I was like mentioning like the people on YouTube that, continue to check on me and stuff like that. And he was like, yeah, he said, that's what you need. He said, you need to make sure that you have people around you that are going to care about you, that are going to love you, that are going to support you. And he said, I'm not even saying like always financially, I'm just talking about like, mentally. He said, because mental is, how did he put it? He said, mental is like the strongest. I don't know if you would say force, but your mental can really, really, I'm trying to think of how he put it. Because I'm trying to remember everything that he was, like, I remember the dream, but I just don't remember, like, the whole thing. And I was trying to put it how he said it. He was basically saying, like, your mental being is the strongest. So when you get hit mentally, it's the worst. You have the mental, you have the physical, you have the emotional, you have the financial. But your mental is what sticks with you for so long. And, and that's what I kept telling him. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, ever since you left, it's been like, it's, at first it was beyond hard. Okay, hard couldn't even describe how it was. But then after so long, I'm not going to say you get over it, but you tend to deal with it a lot better than you do when it first happens. So it has been 13 years for my dad. But like that dream, I guess it just reminded me like that he will always be here. He's always going to be in my head. He's always going to be yelling at me and, in my head. yelling at me because that's what he does. Um, you know, and it's crazy because I used to always call him when I would have car trouble. I used to say, hey, you know, this is blah, blah, blah. And every time he would, if my mom would answer the phone, I would say, hey, I need to speak to dad. And she knew. She was like, you know, it's on the phone. And he would get on, he'd say, Ray's Auto Service. And I'm like, how'd you know? He was like, I know. He said, what's going on? And then I would proceed to tell him, you know, what I was having an issue with and, you know, all that stuff because he always was the one. He always worked on his own car unless it was something like major, like, you know, engine, transmission, something like that. But he always wanted to work on his own car. And, you know, that's where I got part of my knowledge from as far as a car because when I first started driving, and y'all are going to laugh at me, but when I first started driving, my car had it said low oil. So here's me. I go to the store, you know, the auto parts store, and I get the oil. So I fill up my oil where the oil goes. I filled it till it was full, till you could see it in the container. Like it was literally at the top. So I got home and I was telling my dad, I said, you know, my oil was low, you know, so I said I filled it up and he was like, what do you mean you filled it up? And I'm like, I filled it up. He's like, no, what do you mean you filled it up? And I said, I went and bought like however many jugs it was, and at that time I only had a 4-cylinder. But I said I bought, you know, however many jugs it was, and I said I just filled it up to where I could see it so that way I knew it was full. He went, oh. He said, you don't do that. He said, a car only takes so much oil. I'm like, well, I didn't know. Like, I thought it was just like your brake fluid, your windshield wiper solution, and, you know, your coolant and stuff like that. I said, you fill it to where it says full. He was like, oh. He said, what am I going to do? He said, now you got to. He was like, seriously. He said, I don't know what I'm going to do with you. I'm like, well, I didn't know. And like at that time, like I started asking questions more because like I didn't want to do something else wrong. So I started asking more questions and more and more and more. And then it got to the point where he was just like, you know, when he answered the phone, it was his auto service. But back to like the dream, it was just kind of like, it was, to me, it was like a reminder that I knew that he was always going to be there. That I knew that he was always like watching, because even like when I was talking to him on the bench, he even brought up like some of the stuff that has been going on, and he would just be like, I see, and then he would say something and I'm just like, wow. I'm like, how'd you know that? Like, you know, which duh, like but it's crazy because I begged to remember what this dream was so I could tell y'all. And it's crazy because like I normally I remember my dreams. I don't put them all on YouTube, which I should because I like to share, you know, my things with you. But like sometimes I just was like, you know, I saw like one time I went to pay a bill or something like that, and like I had like $5,000 and I had like these bills to pay, and I just looked at the bills and I'm like, F that. I'm like, I ain't paying this. I'm like, I'm going to go spend it. This is the kind of dreams I have, guys. Like, I just, maybe one day I'm going to be a millionaire or a trillionaire to where I ain't got to worry about it. Wishful thinking. But anyway, just know that if your girl blows on YouTube, there is people that I'm taking with me. There is people that I'm going to bring with me to the top. And you guys already know who you are. So, with that being said, my dream is over. My video is over. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and listening to my video. That's it. That's it. Like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. And I was invited to a party tonight. It was a 21st birthday party for a neighbor of mine. So I might slide through just to see how everything is. I might make a YouTube video. So make sure you guys stay tuned, because I love my neighbors. I love them. Love them, love them, love them. I'm not going to put their governments out, but I love my neighbors. So happy birthday to y'all. Both of y'all are turning 21. Well, you guys just turned 21. So happy birthday to y'all. I love you guys. So yeah. Make sure you guys give this video a thumbs up. No thumbs down, thumbs up. Thumbs down, no. Thumbs up, yes. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Wish my neighbors a very happy birthday. A very happy 21st birthday. Because, you know, we drink orange juice over here. We drink orange juice over here. Subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. And I will see you guys in my next video. Love you guys.